the 8th of April, Wednesday morning, 2026. Chapter 19 of Buddha Dhamma, the Four Noble Truths, compiled by Somdet Prabhuta Gosacharya. English name, P.A. Payuto. Chapter 19.5, Actions to be performed in relations to the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the end of suffering, the truth of the path to the end that leads to suffering. Today, we're in page 1903 to 1909. 19.9 Actions to be performed in relations to the Four Noble Truths. It is critical that one understands and performs the necessary duties in relations to each of the Four Noble Truths. A correct presentation and correct practice of the Four Noble Truths relies on the accurate linking up between each distinct truth and corresponding responsibility or action. A failure to do this results in misunderstandings, incorrect practice. A lack of understanding about the duties connected to each of the Four Noble Truths also leads to misunderstanding about Buddhism in general. Take the example, the belief that Buddhism is pessimistic or a pessimistic teaching. The four duties in respects to the Four Noble Truths are as follows. I'm going to read it in Pali language, or the Pali script, and we'll translate it into English. First, Dukkham Arya Sakham Parineyam. Suffering should be fully understood. Dukkha Samutayo Arya Sakham Pahatapam. Second, the cause of suffering should be abandoned. Dukkha Niroto Arya Sakham Sachikatapam. Third, the cessation of suffering should be realized. Dukkha Nirota Akamini Pati Pata Arya Sakham Bhavetapam. The fourth, the way leading to the cessation of suffering should be developed. These are the four respective duties to the Four Noble Truths that should be understood. Although knowledge, parina, the duties in respects to suffering is through understanding. One should investigate and understand suffering as it truly is. One should clearly understand relevant problems and determine the extent of these problems. This is the fundamental stage of the practical spiritual practice, enabling one to progress to subsequent stages and to understand the heart of the human predicament. Pahana means abandonment. The duty in respects to the cause for suffering is to eliminate them. To bring the cause for suffering to an end, one should remove the source of suffering. Sachikiriya means realization. The duty in respect to the cessation of suffering is to realize or attain such cessation, to reach a state in which the essential problems have been solved, where one is completely free from these problems and has reached the goal of spiritual practice. Bhavana, meaning cultivation. The duty in respects to the path, magga, is to literally bring into existence, to generate and to increase. to train oneself according to the factors of the path, to undertake the practice of the path, which eliminates the source of suffering, to follow the methods which leads to the goal, to set down the details of practice, and to apply these in order to solve problems. It is necessary to attend and to accomplish these duties correctly, matching each duty with its appropriate truth. To perform these duties correctly requires knowledge, nana dasana. The knowledge of the duties in Pali script is referred to as kicha nana. Applying this knowledge to link each noble truth with its matching duty corresponds to different stages of spiritual practice. It can be used for solving every kind of human problems. First, knowledge of the duty in relation to dukkha, suffering. To know that suffering needs to be thoroughly understood. To understand the nature of suffering, the basis of suffering, the focus and the locus of suffering. This understanding accords with reality, which differs from understanding things according to how we want them to be, or how according to aversions, for instance. As a particular stage of practice, this refers to the stage of describing or asserting problems which must be defined and understood. Second, knowledge of the duty in relation to samudaya. To know that the cause of suffering needs to be abandoned, eliminated, left alone. To understand the causes of suffering, which should be eliminated. This is the stage of inquiry and analysis, of diagnosing the source of suffering, which must be completely eradicated, annihilated. Third, knowledge of the duty in relation to nirota. To know that the cessation of suffering needs to be realized. To understand the cessation of suffering, which should be realized. This is the stage of the focusing on the end of suffering, the goal of spiritual practice, by recognizing that solving the human predicament is possible, worthy, and something that should be accomplished, undertaken. Moreover, one knows how to reach this goal. Fourth, knowledge of the duty to the relation to the path, magga. To know that there is a way. The path needs to be cultivated. To understand the way or the path of practice leading to the end of suffering, which should be developed and brought to completion. This is the stage of setting down or acknowledging the methods, the stages, the details of practice used for eliminating the source of suffering, which need to be applied and undertaken, used. In sum, you see, we know that our problems are, we know that the nature of our sufferings, we know the source of that suffering. We know what to aspire to or what achievement to truly be desirable. We know what must be done. We know how to proceed. The knowledge of the duties, kicha nana, is one of the three kinds of knowledge connected to the Four Noble Truths, which are used as a criteria for determining enlightenment. When a person truly knows the Four Noble Truths, with these kinds of knowledge comprising 12 factors, he or she is said to be awakening or awakened, a Buddha, because Buddha means to be awakened, to realize. These three kinds of knowledge are referred to collectively as knowledge and vision, nana dasana. This knowledge and vision is comprised of the three cycles or rounds, parivata, consulting of the three kinds of knowledges. First, Satchanana, knowledge of the truth, knowledge of the Four Noble Truths as they really are. This is suffering. This is the source of suffering. This is the end of suffering. This is the way to the lead to the end of suffering. Suffering is like this. The source of suffering is like this. The end of suffering is like this. The way leading to the end of suffering is like this. This knowledge completes the first round of parivata. Secondly, kichanana, knowledge of your duties and responsibilities, knowledge of the required duties of each of the Four Noble Truths. Dukkha should be fully understood. The cause of suffering should be abandoned, etc., as described above. This knowledge completes the second rounds of parivata. Thirdly, kata nana, knowledge of what has been done, knowledge of having accomplished the duties and respects to the Four Noble Truths. One knows suffering, which should be fully understood, has been fully understood. The cause, which should be abandoned, has been abandoned. Cessation, which should be realized, has been realized. The path, which should be developed, has been developed. This knowledge completes the third round of parivata. These three rounds occur in relations to each of the four truths, resulting into 12 factors, akara, of knowledge and visions of nana dasana. Knowledge and vision thus have three cycles of parivata, containing 12 factors, akara. Gautama Buddha, possessed knowledge and visions of the Four Noble Truths in their three rounds. He realized 12 factors, and therefore he declared that he had achieved the unsurpassed, supreme awakening, enlightenment. Knowledge and vision, nana dasana, containing 12 factors, akara, is used as the criterion for verifying all forms of spiritual accomplishments. This knowledge, with its rounds and factors, can outline as given in this table that is shown. I'm going to read it briefly. Dukkha, to know that suffering is this way to know what problems are. The duties of dukkha, to know that suffering should be fully understood, to know that one must understand the nature and the extent of the problem. And knowledge of what has been done, to know that dukkha has been fully understood, to know that one has understood the nature and extent of problems. Samutaya, to know that the cause of the way, to know that craving, tanha, is the cause of suffering, and to know what is the cause for problems are. The duties for samutaya, to know that the cause should be abandoned, to know that one must abandon tanha, craving, which we spoke on, the negative aspects of desire, to know that one must solve problems at their source, and then what is the results, to know that the cause has been abandoned, to know that tanha, the negative aspects of desire, because the positive aspect of desire is chanta. So the negative aspect of desire, to know that tanha has been abandoned, to know that the source of problems have been eliminated. That's the results of samamutaya. Now moving to nirota. The truth is to know that cessation is the way. To know that nibbita, nibbana, nirvana is the cessation of suffering. To know what is truly desirable. The duties are to know that cessation, nirota, should be realized for each individual, for themselves. To know that there is a nibbita, nibbana, nirvana should be realized. To know that that is the goal, that is the destination, that is what must be achieved. And the results of this would be to know that nirota, cessation, nibbana, nirvana, nibbita, has been realized. To know that the goal has been reached. That's the results. And finally, we move to magga, the path. And the truth of this is to know that there is a way, the path of release, cessation has 8 factors. To know that what methods exist for solving problems, or there is a method that exists for solving these worldly human problems. Now the duties for this is to know that the path should be developed. To know that one should cultivate the eightfold path. And to know that one should undertake and apply, emphasis on apply, the methods for solving individual human problems. The results of this is to know that the path has been developed. To know that one has practiced in according with the eightfold path. To know that one has completed and concluded the methods of solving life's problems. Now, suffering is like this. It should be fully understood. It has been fully understood as we move into cessation. Cause is like this. It should be abandoned. It has been abandoned. Cessation is like this. It should be realized. It has been realized. The path or the way is like this. It should be developed. It has been developed. Now, here it's going to note some following points. Dukkha is paired with the duty of clear understanding, parina, in the sense that suffering should be clearly understood. Therefore, suffering and all things that are classified as problems are collectively referred to as parinadhamma, translated as things which should be clearly understood. Second, samutaya is paired with the duty of relinquishment, pahana, in the sense that the causes for suffering should be abandoned or eliminated. Therefore, craving, tanha, and all other things classified as the causes for suffering, like the upakilesas, 12 or 16, or there's a lot of upakilesas, ignorance, greed, hatred, grasping, collectively. They're all referred to as pahatapa dhamma, pahatapa dhamma, meaning to all things to be relinquished. Third, nirota is paired with the duty of realization, sachikiriya, in the sense that the cessation of suffering should be realized. Therefore, Nibbita, Nibbana, Nirvana, all things related to the goals are called Satchikatapa Dhamma, meaning things to be realized. Fourth, Magga is paired with the duty of cultivation, Bhavana, in the sense that the path should be developed. The Eightfold Path and all other practices and methods for reaching the goal are called Pavetapa Dhamma, meaning things to be cultivated. Everything that exists without exception can be classified as incorporated into one of these four groups. On the path leading to the end of suffering, the rudimentary stages to the refined, and from relating to the external things to realizing profound phenomenon that arises in the mind. It is always possible to associate the things which one experiences with one of these four groups. The examples are the highest level of practice of contemplating the existence of truth. Gautama Buddha describes the four qualities as follows. Parina Dhamma, dukkha, things to be understood. The five groups of clinging, upatana, so grasping, holding on to, there's five groups. Second, samutaya pahatapa dhamma, things to be abandoned. Avijja, ignorance, and bhavatanha, the craving to become, for existence, want to be this, want to be that, want to do this, want to do that. Bhavatanha. So we got kama tanha, sensual craving, Bhava tanha, essential for existence. Vibhava tanha, craving for non-existence. Third, Nirodha Satchikatapa Dhamma, things to be realized, like Vijja, knowledge, Vimutti, liberation. Fourth, Magga, Pavetapa Dhamma, meaning things to be developed, like Samatha, calm and tranquility, Vipassana, insight and reason analysis. Now that leaves us off at at page 1909. And we'll pick up on chapter 19.6 on the next one. But the next one, we have to read it in parts because it's a long section. And Buddha Dhamma, compiled by Somdit Prabhuta Gosachaya, English name P.A. Payuto,